Welcome to today's Lost Souls, where we bring you the most impactful and unforgettable stories from around the world. Today, we remember the lives of remarkable individuals whose legacies continue to inspire and resonate. From iconic musicians to trailblazing activists, join us as we celebrate their extraordinary contributions and bid farewell to those who have left an indelible mark on our lives. Stay tuned for a journey through their incredible stories.
Number 1. Victoria Jones, the daughter of Oscar-winning actor Tommy Lee Jones, passed away on New Year's Day in San Francisco, according to local authorities. She was 34. Emergency responders were called to the Fairmont Hotel, where Jones was found unresponsive. A spokesperson for the San Francisco Fire Department confirmed that one individual was pronounced deceased at the scene. The matter was then transferred to local police in the medical examiner's office. As of now, no official cause has been released, and representatives for Tommy Lee Jones have not publicly commented. Victoria was one of 2 children shared by Tommy Lee Jones and his second wife, Kimberly Clafley, who were married from 1981 to 1996. Her brother Austin is 43. While she largely stayed out of the spotlight as an adult, Victoria was familiar to Hollywood audiences during her youth, appearing alongside her father in films such as Men in Black Dukusu and The Three Burials of Melquiades Estrada, as well as on the TV series One Tree Hill. In the year prior to her passing, public records show that Jones had faced several legal issues in California. These incidents drew brief attention, but were never widely discussed. Tommy Lee Jones, now 79, remains one of Hollywood's most respected actors with both an Academy Award and a Golden Globe to his name. His most recent film role was in the 2023 drama The Burial. Number 2. Richard Smallwood, the iconic gospel singer, composer, and 8-time Grammy nominee, has passed away at the age of 77, leaving behind a musical legacy that continues to move audiences around the world. Smallwood passed Tuesday in Sandy Spring, Maryland, following long-term health challenges, according to his longtime representative, Bill Carpenter. Those closest to him say music remained his greatest source of strength, purpose, and connection throughout his life. Creating songs that stirred emotion and lifted spirits was what kept him pushing forward year after year. Over his remarkable career, Smallwood's music reached far beyond church walls. His compositions were recorded and performed by global stars including Whitney Houston, Stevie Wonder, Destiny's Child, and Boyz II Men. One of his most powerful moments came when Houston performed I Love the Lord in the 1996 film The Preacher's Wife, introducing his gospel sound to millions worldwide. Following his passing, Chaka Khan credited Smallwood with reshaping her understanding of gospel music and inspiring her artistic journey. Born on November 30th, 1948 in Atlanta, Smallwood showed rare musical talent early, learning piano by ear as a child and forming his own gospel group before his teenage years. Raised in Washington, D.C., he later became a pioneer at Howard University before founding the Richard Smallwood Singers and the Vision Choir. His song Total Praise became a modern gospel anthem performed across denominations and generations, and remains one of the most recognizable worship songs of all time. While health issues limited his later years, Richard Smallwood's influence continues to live on through every voice, every choir, and every soul his music touched. Number 3. John Munn, the Brooklyn-born stand-up comedian known for his sharp improvisation and fearless crowd work, has passed away at the age of 67. Munn died Monday at his home in Coxsackie, New York. According to local reports, details surrounding his passing have not been publicly shared. For decades, his voice and humor were familiar to comedy fans across television, radio, and live stages nationwide. He rose through the comedy world, performing at legendary venues like the Improv, the Laugh Factory, and Dangerfields, eventually hosting Comic Strip Live on Fox. Mal Rooney appeared on HBO Showtime and PBS's Comedy Tonight, and became a trusted fill-in host after Joan Rivers' departure from The Late Show in 1987. He later guest hosted The Pat Sajak Show and built a steady acting career with appearances on shows like Ellen Midtown North and the film Great Balls of Fire. Born August 27, 1958, and raised in Flatbush, Molo began his comedy journey in early 1980s Brooklyn clubs, including the iconic Pips nightclub. He competed on Star Search, later joining its writer room, and shared stages with fellow Brooklyn comics who went on to national fame. In a surprising second chapter, Murren became a police officer at age 52, serving his community for more than a decade while continuing to perform at fundraisers and special events. Those close to him say he balanced humor, service, and loyalty with rare authenticity. John Mullen is remembered not only for the laughter he delivered on stage, but for the friendships, stories, and energy he brought wherever he went. Number 4, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., the actor forever linked to one of television's most unforgettable characters, has passed away at the age of 71. The news was confirmed by his manager, who shared a message honoring Whitlock's talent and the deep connection he built with everyone who knew his work. For audiences, he wasn't just a supporting actor. He was someone who could command a scene with a single line, turning brief moments into lasting memories. Born in Indiana in 1954, Whitlock trained in theater before steadily building a career that stretched across decades. His work gained major recognition when he took on the role of State Senator Clay Davis on The Wire, a performance that became instantly iconic and helped define the series from 2002 through its final season. The role alone made him a permanent part of television history. Whitlock also became a trusted collaborator of director Spike Lee, appearing in films such as 25th Hour, Black Klansman, Da 5 Bloods, and Chirac. His range allowed him to move seamlessly between drama, satire, and mainstream film with appearances in VEP, Your Honor, Goodfellas, Enchanted, Cedar Rapids, Lightyear, and Cocaine Bear. Even in recent years, Whitlock remained active with performances that continued to introduce him to new audiences. His legacy lives on through characters that still resonate, scenes that are endlessly quoted, and a body of work that secured his place as one of television and film's most memorable presences. Number 5, Meir Gottlieb, a film executive whose life story stretched from survival to shaping modern cinema, has passed away at the age of 86. Gottlieb died Monday at his home in Los Angeles. According to his family, he was widely respected for helping relaunch Samuel Goldwyn Films, playing a key role in bringing influential independent and studio films to global audiences. Named president and COO in 1988, he worked closely with Samuel Goldwyn Jr. to rebuild the historic brand during a pivotal era for film. Among his most notable achievements was serving as co-producer on Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, the epic naval drama directed by Peter Weir and starring Russell Crowe. The film earned critical acclaim and multiple Academy Awards, becoming one of the defining historical adventures of its time. Gottlieb also helped guide the modern remake of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, alongside a wide range of beloved films that reached audiences across generations. Born in Poland in 1939, God's early life was marked by displacement during World War II. After years of hardship, he and his mother eventually immigrated to the United States, where he rebuilt his life from the ground up. He learned English, earned degrees from UCLA, and went on to combine business expertise with a deep respect for storytelling. Later in life, Gottlieb began sharing his personal history publicly, emphasizing purpose, resilience, and responsibility. He often said he believed in repairing the world through meaningful work. That belief guided both his career and his life, leaving behind a legacy defined by integrity, perseverance, and lasting impact on cinema. Number 6, Tatiana Schlossberg, a journalist, author, and member of one of America's most recognized families, has passed away at the age of 35. Her family shared the news through a brief message posted on the JFK Library Foundation's Instagram account, remembering Tatiana as a beloved daughter, sister, mother, and granddaughter of John F. Kennedy. The message reflected the deep love surrounding her life and the lasting place she holds in their hearts. Schlossberg built a respected career in journalism, focusing on science, climate, and the environment. She reported for the New York Times and contributed to major publications including The Atlantic, The Washington Post, Vanity Fair, and Bloomberg. She was also the author of Inconspicuous Consumption, a widely discussed book examining everyday environmental impact. A graduate of Yale University and the University of Oxford, she was known for combining rigorous research with accessible storytelling. In a deeply personal essay published late last year, Schlossberg shared that she had been diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, discovered shortly after the birth of her second child in 2024. She wrote candidly about months of treatment, experimental therapies, and the unwavering presence of her family throughout that journey. Her reflections highlighted resilience, love, and the strength drawn from those closest to her. Tatiana Schlossberg is remembered not only for her family legacy, but for the voice she built on her own. One grounded in curiosity, compassion, and a desire to make complex issues understandable. Her work, words, and impact continue to resonate far beyond her years. Willard Carroll Smith, Jr., was born on September 25, 1968 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, entering a world that would eventually witness his transformation from a charming street kid into one of Hollywood's most bankable stars. He grew up in the Winfield neighborhood of West Philadelphia, a middle-class area that provided a stable foundation during his formative years. His father, Willard Carroll Smith, Sr., was a refrigeration engineer who ran his own business, while his mother, Caroline Bright, worked for the Philadelphia School Board. Will was the second of 4 children with an older sister named Pamela and younger twin siblings Harry and Ellen. The Smith household was characterized by discipline and high expectations. Will's father was a strict man who believed in hard work and responsibility, often requiring his children to help with construction projects and other labor-intensive tasks. One particularly memorable experience involved Will and his brother Harry spending an entire summer building a brick wall in front of their father's business. At the time, the young Will thought the task was impossible, but upon completion, his father delivered a lesson he would carry forever. There was nothing in this world that couldn't be accomplished with disciplined effort and commitment to excellence. Despite the structured environment at home, Will discovered early on that he possessed a natural gift for charm and humor. Teachers and classmates were drawn to his charismatic personality and quick wit. He earned the nickname Prince in his neighborhood because of his ability to talk his way out of trouble and navigate difficult situations with smooth conversation. This verbal dexterity would later become one of his defining characteristics both as a rapper and as an actor capable of delivering complex dialogue with apparent effortlessness. Education came relatively easy to Will, who demonstrated above-average intelligence and a particular aptitude for mathematics and science. He attended Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic School and later Overbrook High School, where he continued to excel academically while also developing his interest in music and performance. Despite his academic success, Will was not particularly interested in traditional scholarly pursuits. His mind was already wandering toward entertainment, toward the possibility of making people laugh and connecting with audiences on a larger scale. The cultural landscape of Philadelphia in the late 70s and early 80s exposed young Will to the emerging hip-hop movement. He became fascinated with rap music, spending countless hours listening to the pioneering artists who were transforming urban poetry into a legitimate art form. He would practice rhymes constantly, developing his flow and his ability to craft clever wordplay. This passion for hip-hop became an obsession. And by his mid-teens, Will was seriously considering pursuing music as more than just a hobby. At age 16, Will met Jeffrey Allen Towns at a party, a meeting that would fundamentally alter the trajectory of his life. Towns, known professionally as DJ Jazzy Jeff, was already making a name for himself as a talented disc jockey with exceptional scratching skills. The two formed an immediate connection, sharing similar sensibilities about music and entertainment. They began collaborating, with Will providing the rhymes and Jeff handling the production and turntable work. Their chemistry was undeniable, and they quickly developed a reputation in Philadelphia's burgeoning hip-hop scene. What set DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince apart from many of their contemporaries was their clean, accessible approach to hip-hop. While gangster rap was beginning to dominate the landscape with hard-hitting lyrics about street life and violence, Will and Jeff chose a different path. Their music was fun, light-hearted, and family-friendly, focusing on humor and storytelling rather than controversy. This decision was partly influenced by Will's upbringing and his parents' expectations, but it also reflected his genuine personality and his desire to create entertainment that could reach the widest possible audience. Their breakthrough came in 1987 with the release of their album Rock the House. But it was their second album, He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper, released in 1988, that catapulted them to national fame. The album featured the massive hit Parents Just Don't Understand, a humorous track about the generation gap that resonated with teenagers across America. The song's success was unprecedented for a hip-hop track at that time, crossing over into mainstream pop radio and eventually earning them the first ever Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance in 1989. The success of DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince brought wealth and fame to the young Will Smith, but it also brought financial irresponsibility. By 1990, despite having earned millions from music sales and performances, Will found himself in serious trouble with the Internal Revenue Service. He had failed to pay taxes on his earnings, assuming that his accountant was handling everything properly. The IRS seized many of his possessions and garnished his income, leaving him practically broke and desperate for a new source of revenue. This financial crisis coincided with a pivotal opportunity that would define the rest of his career. Quincy Jones, the legendary music producer, had been developing a television sitcom concept loosely based on the life of music executive Benny Medina, who had grown up in a disadvantaged neighborhood before moving in with a wealthy family in Beverly Hills. Jones thought Will Smith would be perfect for the lead role, despite the young rapper having no formal acting training or experience. NBC executives were initially skeptical about casting someone with no television track record in a leading role, but after meeting Will and witnessing his natural charisma and comedic timing, they took a chance on the untested performer. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air premiered on September 10, 1990, and immediately connected with audiences. The show told the story of a street-smart teenager from West Philadelphia who moves in with his wealthy aunt and uncle in the upscale, Los Angeles neighborhood of Bel-Air. The premise allowed for both comedy and social commentary, exploring themes of class difference, family dynamics, and identity, while maintaining a light-hearted tone that appealed to viewers of all ages. Will's performance was raw and occasionally unpolished in the early episodes, but his genuine charm and comedic instincts carried the show. Over 6 seasons, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air became a cultural phenomenon, making Will Smith a household name and giving him financial stability while he learned the craft of acting. The show tackled serious issues including racism, gun violence, and drug abuse, alongside its comedy, with several episodes becoming particularly memorable for their emotional depth. The series finale aired on May 20, 1996, but the show's impact extended far beyond its original run, continuing to find new audiences through syndication and streaming platforms decades later. Even while The Fresh Prince was still on the air, Will began transitioning into film. His first major role came in the 1993 drama Where the Day Takes You, followed by the film adaptation of John Goo's play 6 Degrees of Separation, where he played a young con artist who infiltrates the lives of wealthy Manhattanites. The role required Will to portray a gay character and include a same-sex kiss, which he ultimately refused to do on camera, a decision he later admitted was born from fear and immaturity. Despite this controversy, his performance demonstrated dramatic range that surprised critics who had dismissed him as merely a television comedian. The breakthrough that transformed Will from a television star into a movie star came with the 1995 action comedy Bad Boys, directed by Michael Bay. Paired with comedian Martin Lawrence, Will played Miami detective Mike Lurie in a high-octane buddy cop film that showcased his ability to handle action sequences while maintaining his comedic edge. The film was a commercial success, grossing over $140 million worldwide against a $19 million budget, and established Will as a viable leading man in major Hollywood productions. The following year brought Independence Day, the science fiction disaster film that became the highest-grossing movie of 1996 and cemented Will's status as a bona fide movie star. Playing Captain Stephen Hiller, a fearless Marine pilot who helped save humanity from an alien invasion, Will brought humor and heroism to a role that could have been purely functional in less capable hands. His performance anchored the ensemble cast, and his charisma was widely credited with making the film more than just a special effects spectacle. The movie earned over $817 million worldwide and made Will one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood. Will followed Independence Day with Men in Black in 1997, another science fiction blockbuster that paired him with Tommy Lee Jones as secret agents who monitor extraterrestrial activity on Earth. The film showcased Will's ability to blend action, comedy, and heart, creating a character that was cool, funny, and relatable. Men in Black became another massive hit, grossing over $589 million globally and spawning a franchise that would continue for decades. The success of these back-to-back summer blockbusters established a pattern that would define much of Will's career. He became known as the King of 4th of July weekend openings. Throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, Will demonstrated remarkable consistency at the box office while also seeking opportunities to showcase his dramatic abilities. He starred in Enemy of the State in 1998, a paranoid thriller about government surveillance that felt prescient in its exploration of privacy concerns. In 1999, he took on the role of legendary boxer Muhammad Ali in Michael Mann's biographical film Ali, a performance that required intense physical transformation and deep emotional commitment. Will trained extensively for the role, gaining 35 pounds of muscle and studying Ali's movements and speech patterns obsessively. The Ali role earned Will his first Academy Award nomination for Best Actor, validating his efforts to be taken seriously as a dramatic performer. Though he did not win the Oscar, the nomination represented a significant milestone in his career, proving that he was more than just an action star or comedian. He continued to balance commercial projects with more ambitious dramatic work, starring in films like The Legend of Bagger Vance, where he played a mystical golf caddy opposite Matt Damon, and I, Robot, a science fiction thriller based on Isaac Asimov's stories. In 2006, Will delivered what many consider his finest performance in The Pursuit of Happiness, playing Chris Gardner, a struggling salesman who becomes homeless while caring for his young son. The role was deeply personal and emotionally demanding, requiring Will to portray desperation, determination, and unconditional love with subtlety and authenticity. His real-life son, Jaden Smith, played his character's son in the film, adding another layer of genuine emotion to their scenes together. The performance earned Will his second Academy Award nomination and demonstrated his capability to carry a dramatic film without relying on spectacle or special effects. Will continued his hot streak with I Am Legend in 2007, a post-apocalyptic thriller where he played the last man alive in New York City after a virus wipes out humanity. The film required him to carry most of the runtime alone, acting opposite a dog and computer-generated creatures, a technical challenge that he met with a powerful performance that conveyed isolation, grief, and resilient hope. The movie became another commercial success, grossing over $585 million worldwide, and further cementing his reputation as one of the few actors who could open a film based on his name alone. Throughout his decades in the entertainment industry, Will Smith has maintained a remarkably healthy public image, both literally and figuratively. Unlike many celebrities who have struggled with substance abuse or serious health crises, Will has generally avoided major health scandals or life-threatening illnesses. However, this does not mean his journey has been without physical and mental health challenges, some of which he has only recently begun to discuss openly as he has matured and become more comfortable with vulnerability. In his younger years as a rapper and emerging actor, Will prided himself on his clean lifestyle. He never developed habits around drugs or alcohol, partly due to his upbringing and partly due to a conscious decision to maintain control over his faculties and his career. This abstinence was somewhat unusual in the entertainment industry, particularly in hip-hop culture during the 80s and 90s, but it allowed him to avoid many of the pitfalls that derailed other talented performers. His commitment to stay clean became part of his brand, the wholesome entertainer who could be trusted by parents and enjoyed by children. However, maintaining this image came with its own psychological costs. Will developed what he later described as an addiction to success and approval. He became obsessed with being the biggest star, the most liked person, the most successful actor. This drive pushed him to incredible professional heights, but also created immense internal pressure. He worked constantly taking on project after project, always chasing the next achievement, the next validation. This relentless pursuit of external approval masked deeper insecurities and unresolved emotional issues from his childhood. The physical demands of his action roles also took a toll on his body over the years. The training required for films like Ali, where he transformed his physique to embody Muhammad Ali, involved extreme workout regimens and strict dietary controls. For I Am Legend, he again underwent intense physical preparation to appear as a survivalist living alone in a post-apocalyptic world. These transformations, while impressive on screen, required pushing his body to limits that could not be sustained indefinitely. As he aged, the recovery time from such intense physical preparation lengthened, and he had to become more strategic about which roles he accepted and how he prepared for them. In his memoir, published in 2021, Will opened up about experiencing panic attacks and mental health struggles that had previously been hidden from public view. He described a period during the production of his films where the pressure became so intense that he began having severe anxiety. The panic attacks were terrifying, involving heart palpitations, shortness of breath, and overwhelming feelings of dread. For someone who had built his entire identity around being in control and projecting confidence, these experiences were deeply destabilizing and forced him to confront aspects of himself he had long avoided. Will also revealed that he had contemplated suicide at his lowest point, a shocking admission from someone whose public persona was so relentlessly positive and upbeat. The suicidal ideation emerged from a combination of factors, including his crumbling first marriage, financial pressures, and the exhausting effort of maintaining his public image while feeling empty inside. He described standing at the edge of a decision, looking into the abyss of despair before ultimately choosing to seek help and do the difficult work of therapy and self-examination. This candid disclosure helped destigmatize mental health struggles, particularly for Black men who often face cultural pressure to suppress emotional vulnerability. The actor also dealt with the normal physical challenges that come with aging in an industry obsessed with youth. As he moved through his 40s and into his 50s, he had to adjust his relationship with his body and his appearance. there were moments of weight gain and physical changes that became fodder for tabloid speculation and social media commentary. Unlike his younger years when maintaining peak physical condition seemed effortless, he now had to work harder to stay in shape, and he became more accepting of the fact that his body would not always look like it did during his 20s and 30s. Will has spoken about using ayahuasca, the powerful psychedelic plant medicine, during spiritual retreats as part of his mental health journey. These experiences, while controversial, represented his willingness to explore unconventional therapeutic approaches to address his psychological struggles. He described the ayahuasca ceremonies as profoundly transformative, allowing him to access and process traumatic memories and emotions that traditional therapy had not fully reached. The experiences were often difficult and confronting, forcing him to examine his ego, his relationships, and his deepest fears in ways that were uncomfortable but ultimately healing. His relationship with food and body image also evolved over the years. After decades of strict dietary control for various film roles, Will went through a period where he allowed himself more freedom with eating, which led to weight gain that he initially struggled to accept. However, he eventually embraced a more balanced approach, focusing on health and wellness rather than achieving an unrealistic aesthetic standard. He documented some of this journey on social media, showing a willingness to be vulnerable about his imperfect body and his struggles with aging that resonated with many fans who appreciated his authenticity. The physical injury that perhaps had the most lasting impact came during the filming of Concussion in 2015, where he played Dr. Bennett Omalu, the pathologist who discovered chronic traumatic encephalopathy in football players. While the role itself did not require significant physical action, the intensive research and emotional weight of portraying a real person dealing with such a serious medical discovery took a psychological toll. Will immersed himself so deeply in understanding brain trauma and its devastating effects that it affected his own mental state during and after production. Sleep has been another area where Will has faced challenges. The demanding schedule of a Hollywood superstar, combined with his tendency toward workaholism, often resulted in insufficient rest and recovery.